So welcome back to Studio King Street for another episode of the Stirling Business Podcast. And today I'm delighted to welcome Danielle McCraw Smith from the Go Forth Stirling BID, Business Improvement District. Danielle, you wear multiple hats, one of which is obviously representing Stirling with regards to BID. So why don't we start by just finding out a little bit about yourself and the backstory in terms of how you got into BID and what you're currently doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for having me. So backstory on how I found myself in the Business Improvement District sector. I was actually in hospitality and in some of the locations that I was managing hospitality sites in, they had BIDs. They had Business Improvement Districts. So the first one was Dunfermline and there was a fantastic lady, Lisa Edwards, that introduced me to BIDs, really, in Dunfermline. I was there as one of the levy payers, and she asked me to join the board. That was aligned quite well, so they were running for ATCM's Purple Flag Award at the time. They were really quite keen to have hospitality representation on their board. So yeah, I joined the BID board then.
And was that before they became a city as well?
No, it was... when would that have been? Gosh.
A few years ago.
Yeah, it must have been before. I actually think that might have been back in 2015, 2016, so probably, yeah. So Dunfermline Delivers was my first insight into BIDs, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great what we were doing, the collaboration, bringing all the businesses together. It was a fantastic networking opportunity for us. But as a board representative there, I was able to find my area that I could help and assist the BID, and that was by chairing the Pubwatch, by bringing all these different projects together with the BID, focusing on late night economy, safety, etc. in the city centre. And then from that, Go Forth Stirling was established very early in their first term, and they did a call out.
What year was that roughly?
That would have been Go Forth Stirling probably about 2018, 2019. They were looking for board members, and I was also licensee at the time of Fubar Nightclub in Stirling, which is obviously the BID boards. We'll go into the makeup of a BID and how it comes about, but what you look to have on a BID board is good cross-representation of the sectors, also your key levy payers with the larger rateable values represented there to help drive forward what the strategy and purpose is of that BID. So I joined Go Forth as a board member while my hat was as licensee of Fubar Nightclub. And then from there became vice chair, became chair, and in my time as chair at Go Forth, we were just having a tricky time. We were heading towards the end of the first term. We'd had a little bit of a turnover in staff and whatnot. I was diving in. We then had some absence in our staffing team, and I said, right, okay, I tell you what, I'll dive in here as a non-executive, and I'll help out operationally, just as a little interim to steady the ship. And that was 2020.
And the rest is history.
Actually, my first day in the office is that diving in very short term was March 9th. Is that 2021? Goodness, when is it? What was it? Pandemic year?
21.
21. So March 9th, 2021, managed 5 days in the office. The next Monday I walk in, and of course we get the announcement that night for lockdown, furlough, everything happening, and never more than ever have businesses in Stirling or anywhere else needed support. So the BIDs just overtook my life at that point, and we're still here today.
Wow.
Running it.
So for the audience then, explain what a BID is, because I think it's, it means many things to different people. Yeah. But from somebody who kind of runs the BID here in Stirling and has representation in other areas with other BIDs, what would you the best description of a BID?
Yeah, so Business Improvement District, essentially, they started back in the 60s in Canada. A smaller area near Toronto was the traders all kind of got together and were not satisfied. I think at the time there was an introduction of a rail service that took all their footfall and the benefit of their trading environment into the city. And they were really feeling the effect in this area. So the idea was everyone gets together, makes a contribution to a pot. That was then born into business improvement districts. They all get together and they decide, as the business community, what that area needs for the benefit of their trading environment. So essentially, the bids are in all different shapes and sizes, do all manner of projects and things now across the world, of which there are thousands. But the idea behind them being born and starting out is still the same as that very first one in the city in the 60s. That traders want to take matters into their own hands. It's a complementary service of the local authority or all the other statutory bodies in an area. But essentially, a business improvement district is a geographical zone. So imagine, in Stirling, we draw a nice shape around what we determine to be the kind of core business area where most of the businesses are concentrated or the higher footfall, and we draw a circle around that and we go out to ballot and we say, through a democratic election, do you think it would benefit if all of yous clubbed together, made a small contribution into this business, and that business will deliver services that will benefit the area? And the best bit about it is you decide what those projects are. So every business improvement district is made up of a board predominantly of businesses and levy payers of that area, and they direct the business improvement district. So the best example I've got, because there's 433 bids across the UK. They represent 155,000 businesses.
Wow.
In Scotland, there's 34 bids, and our 34 bids across Scotland represent 11,000 businesses, and there's 23 in the pipeline right now just in Scotland. So with my other hat on, I look after Scotland's improvement districts, which oversees all 34 and any pipeline bids. So any local areas looking to introduce a bid, or traders that come forward and go, I think we would really benefit from this, then they would come to Scotland's improvement districts and we would work through the process with them for getting to ballot, if you like, the route to ballot. So Glasgow City Centre is about to go to ballot. The papers go out next week, and that will totally change the landscape.
And it's a 5-year cycle typically for the ballot?
Yeah. So essentially how it works is you are fixed in for 5 years. You go out, this is my business plan, this is what I want to do, vote this in. If obviously it gets voted ahead, it becomes mandatory for every business in that area, which is the thing that makes it fair. You don't want to be contributing it because you believe in it and you want the benefit and you want the success of the town, but the business next door doesn't want to, so it makes it mandated as a contribution. But the good thing about it is it's mandated for 5 years, which means at the end of that 5 years, if you aren't happy, you aren't seeing value, then don't vote yes.
Vote and
Absolutely.
It gets voted in,
right? And it also gives you the opportunity that after 5 years you keep reassessing and you might pivot.
What works, what the strategy needs to look like for the next 5 years.
Exactly. Exactly. Because what we did in COVID in our first term, in that lockdown phase, and it was all about business support and signposting and all sorts of things like that, is very different to what Stirling needs right now. So we our current term, we're in our second term, that ends in 2027. We will then be looking to go ahead for the next 5 years from 2027, and what that looks like we're currently shaping with the board.
So what is the role that you play on a national level? And so the Scotland Improvement Districts, I believe you're the kind of programme manager of that. Of SID, as they call it. So what does that entail?
So SIDS is Scotland's Improvement Districts, funded by Scottish Government to be the umbrella organisation, if you like, for all the bids across the country, and also any that are
like Scottish Chambers and the local chambers.
Exactly.
Kind of same concept.
Same concept. So Scotland's Improvement Districts, they provide advice, support, help with the governance, help get those bids that are coming through to ballot, and are able to also dive in if there's issues, and if there's, a an intermediary between the bids and sometimes the local authorities or otherwise. Scotland's improvement districts just acts to kind of keep the network together and keep it collaborating, and help promote best practice, etc., across the bids. And then another hat that I wear that I had prior to Scotland's improvement districts. So I'm on the board of British Bids.
Okay.
So the British Bids is obviously UK-wide, 433 bids, and doing all manner of services as a membership organisation.
And how consistent is that from British to Scotland to right down to the kind of regional, local level?
Yeah, well...
in terms of the messaging that comes down. And
the messaging is all really similar. The Scottish legislation is slightly different from the English legislation. Only in very minor little areas. But we obviously, as SIDS, guide prospective bids or developing bids through the process, or existing bids through the renewal every single 5 years, and make sure that everything follows the legislation. So those differences to Scotland and England are only very minor. But one thing that England doesn't have, or Wales or Ireland, of course, is they do not have an organisation that's Scottish Government appoints SIDS to help that process. Down south, that has to be done through consultancy. So there's not south of the border, there's no seed corn money, and the seed corn money is really a fund, a pot for bringing business improvement districts through that, those areas, those geographical zones can apply to the government and ask for, look, we'd like to deliver a bid. Yeah. Can we get a bit of a grant here to help us do it? Down south, that would really need to be done via loan. And it's costly. It's a very long process to get to ballot, specifically your very first ballot. You need at least a year to do the work involved, and typically if a larger area, you need to employ someone. So Scotland are, in my view, really, really lucky to have support from Scottish Government, to have the SIDS umbrella organisation, and to have as much collaboration together through the network that they do.
Okay, great. So in terms of the other business supporting entities around Stirling, so I'm thinking of the likes of the Chambers of Commerce, we've got Business Gateway with STEP, obviously the council, economic development team get involved from time to time in terms of supporting local business. How do BID interact with those other entities? Yeah, so to varying degrees, of course. The Chamber, we work alongside the Chamber. Some of the bids across the country are incredibly involved, hand in hand with the Chamber. Let's Go Glasgow, the new Glasgow city centre bid, it's the Chamber in partnership really trying to deliver that. But in Stirling, it's what the needs of the businesses are. The bid literally is here to act in the best interest of the businesses. So we have a brilliant relationship with the local authority, with Stirling Council. We work alongside them as a complementary service to assist the businesses. And that's, not a relationship that comes or is to be taken for granted. It's something that we have worked on a lot over the years, and it's like anything else, had peaks and troughs. But just now, we have a very good working relationship in terms of, certain projects that we deliver that are important, but they're a bit budget constraints. So, we do a share of, we're contracted together for the festive lighting in the city centre, and we each, as in Goforth Stirling Bid and Stirling Council, we pay a proportion of that cost every year together. So there's all sorts of different things that we supplement that they do as a statutory service. And the key thing about bids is it's additionality. We do over and above. And then we work alongside STEP as well. We've got one of our board members, local authority has someone appointed to sit on our board, so that's all hand in hand. Exact same with STEP. So Stirling, is that predominantly the Business Gateway function? So if there are services that Business Gateway can offer to the local businesses in the catchment of the levy, you can broker that and put those services together on behalf of the... To be honest, it's so that we're all singing from the same hymn sheet. STEP, Mike from STEP and I met quite a few years ago now, and when he was newer in post, and it was like, right, you do training, we do training,
we should be having a lot of conversations. We should be aligned here to make sure that we are offering different training. And if you've got something that those that come to me could benefit from, we'll signpost there, and likewise.
So not duplicating effort, cost. Everything that goes with that.
Absolutely. So STEP isn't currently within the bid zone. They sit outside the bid zone, so they're not a contributing levy payer, for example. But it's really important for us that they are on the board in an advisory capacity as well, so that they're in tune with what the bid's doing. And that's why as well we have the local authority on the board, a representative, because we want to know if we're talking about this is an idea and this is what we want to do. To have an officer from the local authority there as well, it might be something that's already been getting done, then, or it might be something that we can work together on.
Or something that's in plan that we don't want to, double effort up on.
Exactly. And there's, there's a few projects going just now that the local authority have initiated, that the bid are partnering with them on, that to supplement, we can do a bit of this, you can do a bit of that. It'd be much better if we work together on this and make sure that there's a really strong business voice.
Okay. And in terms of some of the services that bid offer to the levy payers and the city centre, could you give us just a few examples? You mentioned the festive lights. That's a great example. What other types of things do you do?
Festive lights are huge. I think people underestimate the impact and the importance of that for footfall and for the attractiveness of our city centre. We completely overhauled them a good few years ago now, and we took them back to we pulled out all the old Stirling Facebook pictures of how it used to be. Everyone used to call it the glory years, and we literally got custom designed lights, King Street, right outside us here. They're gorgeous, and they're quite statement Christmas lights. These kind of things come at a cost, and we wanted to do that as a project together. Free city centre Wi-Fi, the bid funds manage, operates that. It also then gives all the businesses the functionality to advertise on it. That is, free and open to any of our members. Just let us know you want to, we put surveys out on it. We can put videos out on it. We can advertise if you've got an event, and it has a lot of logins, an unbelievable amount of logins actually. So that for us is a key service to making sure that our city centre is as welcoming as possible. The Christmas lights are to make sure it's vibrant. We have a number of things on our kind of safety and security banner, if you like. So we have, we are of course involved in every kind of partnership meeting there possibly is, with all the multi-agencies, police, etc., talking about issues. We've got another one on Friday. We're constantly meeting to assess and make the city centre better from a safety perspective. But the bid then goes that little bit further. We fund the nighttime economy, so the Pubwatch radios. We facilitate the Pubwatch. That's grown from strength to strength in recent years. We have a Pubwatch that's a ban from one, ban from all. So the businesses all come together on a regular basis and say, this is an incident we've had, this is an individual. I don't want them in there. So actually all the businesses have an agreement that attend Pubwatch that, okay, well, if they misbehave in yours, they don't get into mine. And I think that's a very key, important message for the city centre and for elevating the safety in the night time. So in addition to that, they're all connected by radio link. CCTV is also connected to that radio link. The police are connected to that. So there's a constant, immediate communication in the nighttime economy that one premise, radio's another premises, such and such just has been, might be underage and has refused access. This is what they're wearing. They're coming your way, and that's how they then all collaborate. And then the bid obviously funds that network and the cost of that to bring that all come together. And then further afield on the kind of safety perspective, we work with RACS, so Retailers Against Crime. So they have, a membership organisation, if you like, as well, and we offer that membership to our members.
And it's a similar platform, right, to the one you've just described, to connect the retail theft and things like that together.
SentrySis. So SentrySis online portal has an app on the phone. Everyone can log in, can report instances. It's entirely safe. Everyone's signed up to information sharing protocols, so it allows them to share images, share CCTV, which in this day and age, you can't be putting on WhatsApp groups, you can't be putting on Facebook and closed account. You have to be really, really cautious about the integrity of that data. So by having SentrySis, and the bid then funds the membership of that for any participating business, we can then have a lot of insight and intelligence and deal with things a lot quicker. We've had quite a few really good success stories out of that. Crime committed, that trader uploads picture, instant detail of that crime. Someone else is on it. They know exactly who that is. That helps identify. Police Scotland's then aware much quicker, and everyone collaborates. So it works really, really well. It works fantastic in other areas that have had it for a lot longer, and they've got more people participating. But budget constraints. We have less police presence. There's no denying that. Police Scotland don't deny that. But what can we do to help? And how do we get more police on the streets? Well, that is decided by needs and by calls that are coming in and by reports that are being made. So if you're not reporting it, you're not helping with the overall picture and stats here. Just saying, oh, well, I didn't bother saying anything. So we're hoping that SentrySis can supplement that and help us get to a better place quicker. But we're not unlike any other town or city centre.
They're all trying to do something similar.
Absolutely. But in terms of,
is there connectivity across city centres as well?
Yeah.
So, because people will typically hop from one
100%
town to the other, right?
Yeah, and that's so we've been doing crime intelligence briefings recently with RACS, where they'll say, just to try and emphasise the importance of communicating on SentrySis, to say, we've got we have all this intelligence, we've got a known group of individuals, and this is what they do. They shoplift, they're doing it in Glasgow, and when they do it in Glasgow, we can guarantee you they'll then come down and they'll hit Falkirk this amount of time later, they'll hit Stirling then. If you are on and participating and using this app or platform, you'll get a notification to your phone that makes you aware, and then you can prepare for that and identify who the individuals are, or take the necessary steps. So in an ideal world, this is how all this seamless stuff can work together. The bid is just here trying to encourage our members to use it, giving them access to it, no extra cost, and then on to another kind of key project of ours is training. Our training platform is available to any of the businesses. There's we've got about 24 courses on there. A lot of them are our business. This was born out of the COVID pandemic era and when everyone was working from home. But, especially, say, in food safety, there are a lot of mandatory costs on the businesses for training and for certification that are a requirement for them to trade. So a lot of those key courses are on there that saves the businesses that cost. And we've trained we've certificated in excess of 10,000 people now through our training platform, which, is significant. That's 10,000 courses. I cannot quantify the cost to the businesses off the top of my head, but it's significant in a saving. So we're beaving our away in the background of all these different projects and things. And
so we hear a bit of, we've heard the branding of Independent Stirling. What is that specifically? Because I know it's kind of affiliated with BID. But what specifically is that? Yeah,
so Independent Stirling, again, born out of pandemic era, that we realised we had. Go for Stirling's very much a B2B brand. It's business to business. It's levy payers. You're our members. This is the information you need to know. But what we didn't have was a B2C brand. So business to consumer. So go forth bid. What are we doing to actually market these businesses, showcase them, do more? So Independent Stirling was born out of, in the pandemic, that I actually was walking in Leicester, of all places, and Leicester has a fantastic, really successful bid. I was down there meeting with them. What kind of stuff are you doing? What can we steal and use in Stirling, basically? Absolutely no shame in saying that. And what I noticed was I was walking down one of their high streets and I saw these stickers that said, "I'm an independent, come visit me." And I was actually heading to go and find like a Starbucks or a Costa and buy my coffee before my next meeting. And it stopped me in my tracks and I went, "You're absolutely right. I should be going into this local, unique, independent business and spending my money there and get my coffee there." And I can guarantee you, it will be more unique to that area. So what we did was we stole their idea, essentially. But Simon Jenner at Leicester is absolutely fine with that. We've not stolen
steal something back from you at some point, I'm sure.
Exactly. We've it's in full compliments of what some of the projects that we've done there. There's been some other ones we might have stolen as well. But what we did was we went out around in the pandemic, in the depths of lockdown, and things were popping up on Facebook saying, I'm still trading, but you can pick up, or, there was the farm doing the eggs, and everyone was trying to, and we created a directory of what was open, what was trading, what you could still use.
Yeah, what you could get during the pandemic.
Focused on independent businesses, because with the best will in the world, those are the ones that needed our help. We have national businesses in our zone that are our members too, but independent businesses are the bread and butter of Stirling. That's what makes Stirling unique. We are so close to Edinburgh and Glasgow. If you want to go to a national, you can jump on the train and you can go to the cities, and they're enticing you to them. We're not going to compete with St James Centre.
No.
However, where we will compete is the unique stuff and the independent businesses and all the unusual reasons to visit Stirling, in addition to obviously our landscape and our historical attractions. So we've got online website, independentstirling.co.uk. It has a full directory of every independent business in Stirling. It takes quite a lot to keep up, because believe it or not, we've had...
They keep popping up all the time.
We've had 26 new businesses this year alone. And then you can also view a trail and a map on that website by sector. So I can click on it, and if I travel somewhere and I'm maybe going to a wedding, and I'm like, I really would like a hairdresser, female going to a wedding, would like to have my hair done. How do I find a hairdresser? I'm Googling hairdresser in that unknown area to me. You go on Independent Stirling, you click on hairdressers, and it shows you the map of Stirling City Centre, and they're all there, and it has all the contact details and all the backlinks through to their stuff.
Fantastic.
So it has that for every sector that's an independent business. So really it's celebrating all the unique reasons to visit Stirling, the stories behind them. There's blogs, there's, what is the backstory of that?
A little coffee roaster down at the bottom of the hill.
Absolutely. Or a really unusual business that, the Greek food across the road. What is the backstory behind them? So it's got a blog, it's got the stories behind, makes it human as well.
Brilliant.
And then you can go about Stirling and go and find the stickers and make sure that you're spending your money
you're identifying
locally.
as being independent.
Absolutely.
With the stickers. Very good. So we're kind of coming to the end of our conversation here. So I'll just kind of wrap up by asking you, what are the objectives and priorities for the next 12 months for Go Forth bid?
So we are now in that rundown to ballot in this next 12 months. So really we are going to be preparing for what our next 5 years look like. What our strategy is going to be for the city centre. Is our bid zone going to be bid zone? Every 5 years things change, At the last term we expanded, we added in extra streets.
Cast
that we
the
were
net a bit wider.
Absolutely. And we decided what our priorities are. So really we are kind of going to be going, this is an opportunity for us to go back to basics, to say and to assess all the things that we deliver now. Is this still what the businesses want? And to do that is a huge piece of consultation that we'll be going out. There's 633 businesses in Stirling City Centre. We will be going to them and saying, what do you want to see? An unusual example of a bid is they don't just have to deliver the cleaning, safety, these header projects. New York, Times Square is famous for a really big New Year's Eve celebration. And I'm not giving anything away here and saying this is what the new route of Go Forth is going to be at all. But it's that bid is there and delivering. The businesses have directed Times Square Alliance Business Improvement District to put on the greatest show for New Year's Eve, and it's really aspirational. So my point on that is, we've got the opportunity every 5 years to totally pivot and say to the businesses, what do you want? Do you want us to keep delivering training and Wi-Fi and all these different things?
Or do you want us to go big and make a big impact for everybody?
Or do you want us to use this membership fund annually to do one thing? And I am not closed off to any ideas. It will literally be down to the consultation process that we'll do over the next year.
Brilliant. Okay, well, thank you very much, Danielle.
Thank you.
That's been very interesting to hear about not just what's happening in Stirling, but how that fits into the geographic location of Scotland, but also the whole of the UK in general. And it's good having a kind of foot in all those camps, because you obviously see the best of all worlds, like the Leicester example that you gave earlier on. So thank you for coming along and
thank you.
Spending time with us.
Thanks very much.